So good evening. I'm Diana Gray. I'm the Community Marketing Manager for UiPath for the Americas. And tonight I have Tracy Dixon with me. She's the Operational Excellence and the UiPath Partner Lead for Centric Consulting. And she's also been an MVP with UiPath now for 3 years. And I also have Carlos Eduardo Viega with me, who's an automation evangelist for the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. And he's been an MVP for about, 6 months now, Carlos?
Yep.
So in this session tonight, our experts will help you with your out of office bots. So you can ask them any questions you might have about configuring a calendar meeting and using UI automation to set up an out of office autoresponder. So if everybody could also turn on their cameras, that'd be really helpful. We want to take a couple of group shots. Thank you. Just wait for a few more people. It's nice to see who's out there. Wayne, are you there? Yeah, there you go. Anybody else? Okay.
Get you some more light.
All right. So Tracy and Carlos, if you want to get started.
All right. So for those
Yes.
of you on camera, any of you that have the Zoom client installed, there's a fantastic feature called Studio Effects. It's under the background effects section, where you can add lipstick, facial hair, eyebrows. So pick your pleasure. It's always more fun to have, something crazy on. So this is actually completely fake lipstick that I'm not wearing. So tell us what you've got added or surprise us. But would love to see somebody wear something fun so we can all have some studio effects and try out Zoom's new tool. So Wayne, we are going into the Zoom settings under the background. There's a little...
I heard you.
Oh, okay, you got it. I didn't know. If you
Yeah. I think I'm looking for you guys to participate with that one.
Oh, I am.
Yeah. And it looks good on you.
And
You're probably going ahead and purchase that color now.
Thanks. And I did a little something. I haven't decided whether to stay with this size of eyebrows or to go thicker. But I do look really crazy in the mustache and stuff.
Yeah.
We'll give you another minute or two to put something on there, and then I'll give you guys show you what it looks like to get in there if you haven't found that option yet. In the chat, there's a little graphic of where to go to get studio effects. So the very last setting looks like a rainbow. You can pick whatever color you want. So you can go kind of off-road like Diana did with her eyebrows. Purple wasn't in the normal set of options. And yes, we learned yesterday that you can get your eyebrows to sit on top of other body parts. So that's always a good time. Any of you guys get that to work? You do need to have an account for Zoom. If you don't have it logged into an account, it requires that there's an account in order to have access to that new feature.
It's just what I need, another account. So yeah, thanks.
All right, so tonight's automation, the focus today is answering questions that you guys have on the out of office automation. So if anyone has anything specific, we can jump into that if you have anything that you need help with there. So feel free to speak up and let us know.
Yeah, Brett, I think it's the mention on having to have an account on Zoom, because I think I'm on the same boat. Can kind of see the facts, but can't save. Yep. No questions means that everyone was able to finish the challenge, which is great. So is
I
that
ran into problems when I went beyond and tried to also set my chat, I guess, build a calendar event, an out of office calendar event in Google. It was recognizing too many fields as equivalent.
You want to show us? You're welcome to share your screen.
Yeah, I think you guys are ending your program this week, right? So if there's anything you need help with, just let us know.
Okay. Which screen are you seeing?
I think is that the right screen? The one that says, that has your couple of icons on the desktop?
No. Better?
Yeah, we can see the out of office start date there.
Of course, it's going to happen on a different screen. So this part worked fine. I did end up having to deal with it overwriting information already in there. So I had to clear that out first. That was pretty intuitive. So where's my calendar? It's on the wrong, okay. Too many windows, sorry. So I was finding that I was trying to write the start date into this field here, the start field here. But it was writing it into the top line here. I tried multiple anchors, with the dial and the does not repeat. But it seemed like it was seeing this field and all three of these, the date and the times, kind of as equivalent.
okay?
So right here. If I can zoom in.
Down there on the bottom row where it says 116, you should be able to type over that and put 150 or 200 or something like that. Or there's a few choices in the drop down.
Oops. Don't know if that's any better. So what would be helpful to show?
Carlos, you want to take this one?
Yeah, so I think let's try to look at the, if you click on properties, let's see what the selector looks like. Yep. And on that type piece,
Add a delay.
and I'll expand the target piece. So let's take a look at what it's showing us.
It may be limited because it's run.
Oh, because it's running. I
Yeah,
think you might have to
so you may
stop the
wanna stop-
execution.
yeah.
Yes.
Ah, got
So
it,
go ahead
got
and
it,
stop. That
Thank
way
you.
you can click into and see a
got it. Thank
whole
you.
lot more that you won't be able to see while it is running.
All right. And then we can see the method. So he identified several selectors, and the one that the automation is using is the fuzzy selector. So that's the one that is taking precedence to try to find that. So we can take a look on the fuzzy selector. So maybe if we expand that piece, yeah. Maybe click on the three dot or open in advanced. Let's see what it just show us. All right, and let's try to expand that a little bit. Okay, so I think it probably doesn't have enough elements there to find exactly what needs to be used. So maybe click cancel on that. Let's take a look on the strict selector and try to open that one. Let's just see. That kind of has the way the page renders your calendar with fixed dates for date.
I tried to get it to ignore the text in there, since it will always be different.
That top row should be up at a higher level. So it's inheriting that from a prior activity. So you'll definitely want to go in and put in a star after calendar. That way it wouldn't be looking for any specific date, but it would be
Yeah.
an activity higher up that where you get that cascades down. So that would need to be changed for sure.
Sorry, you lost me on that.
Yeah. So if you cancel this,
Okay.
and I don't know that that's the specific issue here, but if you scroll up to where the selector is first figured out, so there were two rows. There's that first row that has the kind of the window that says week of blah blah blah. If you go up higher, you'll probably see a browser oriented activity where it got the selector for that first row, and then once it gets that top level selector, it will cascade down. So it should be at the top of the UI type activities.
Higher?
Have to look at the selectors on these to see. So back in the same settings that you were looking at before, but click on a specific activity and we can look at the selector for that. So you'll want to do like the click create we could look at that one to see if it still has that information, if it inherited it from above. So fuzzy selector on this again and click the 3 dots again. So this is that one activity.
I think on the strict one.
So,
Although
yes,
that's also
it is higher. Yeah. It's somewhere up higher because it's still got that. So it is higher level. So just keep scrolling up until we find, there will be one of the activities that says exactly that as the selector. That's what you're looking for. That has that week of May. And it's
So
probably, I would guess it's higher than that, wouldn't you, Carlos?
this is the beginning of the calendar right here. This one, that last one is the saving of the Gmail settings.
So you can click on that to see if that, so that's normally like a window level where everything below that. So go back to the regular selector.
Regular select.
What?
District.
district selector. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's for the different page, right? That's what you're saying, Brett.
Right. This was the Gmail.
Yeah. And I think the confusion might be because you having the use browser activity twice on the same browser. So that might be causing some confusion, although I don't think that would be the cause of the end cause of your issue. But usually once you start a group of steps in a browser, you can just continue. You don't need to indicate to the automation that, hey, use the browser. Just because you open a sub page on that initial page, you should be good to go. And it seems
Okay.
that on your sequence there, once you finish that piece, if you close that, and then you have 2.10 is a user browser.
Right.
I think because it opened a new page. On that use browser, does it? If you click on the select that and click on properties, let's see if it maybe is up to that point. Although you shouldn't have a selector there, it's just identifying the browser window, I guess. Yep. Okay, let's go back to that activity. Let's try to fix it in a different way on how we're looking at that. When you're going to click. So that is when you're going to type.
Looks like the window selector is the row that has the Chrome, the full line for the window. Or it says window selector application instance. It
Yeah.
looks like it's editable there.
Okay.
Let's see what it says. Nice catch. Yep. So on that title, you can take that week of May and just put a star. I think you might still need that
Oh,
because you want to make
okay.
sure that it gets Chrome on the calendar. So after calendar, you can just add a star, asterisk.
So in the, yeah, you could also
And
do
then
it right in
remove
that bottom
Oh,
section.
Okay.
Yeah, either or.
Okay.
And then remove everything else.
Yeah,
You clear that
I'll-
week of
After
May
that.
9.
Got it.
You
Yep,
do want the very
Except up
last,
to the, yeah.
last tag. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
And then you can validate, is that window still up?
I think you need not a semicolon, but I think you need another quote there.
Quote. Yeah.
Oh, I deleted the
Delete
quote,
it.
sorry.
Yeah,
I think it's
Uh,
a single one.
yeah, you know,
Probably the
single.
apostrophe, the single apostrophe.
Yeah, the apostrophe. What? Yeah, I don't know what this.
Oops.
You know the thing. The
Don't
thing.
know the key, the thing.
So you want
All
like
right,
single
that's the right
quote,
color.
yeah, around any text, and then validate will, if you have that window on screen, will look and make sure that this is a valid selector. So you always have a way to double check if you have that UI available.
Yeah, if it's still open, I've had good fortune with that, validating, then indicate, and then, test it and then save the anchor again.
There you go. There
Yeah,
you go. You're green. So that we know that should work. And next week, whenever it changes, it should continue to work thereafter. That one.
say,
Stick.
yeah, a lot of times, once you do that, it's good to hit the highlight button too. The highlight will open up that page and touch that selector, give you some confidence right then that it's going to select it when it works.
Okay.
Yep, for sure. I use that all the time. So highlight will show you where it's clicking, and sometimes you'll see that it's clicking something else on the screen. It'd be
Yeah,
very useful to know that, oh, okay, this is why things are happening. If it's clicking something up at the top and you can see that it's highlighted, you know that that's definitely that particular activity. That's the issue, that it's confused about the selector on that.
Where's my calendar? Almost. We're gonna have to ignore the times too.
did it just finish?
It did, but it posted the time, the date into the time slots. It missed hitting the all day.
You have to go to that activity and take a look at that deal. Yeah, click, yeah.
So I added this one in here just so I could, otherwise it was ignoring the all day. But it looks like I ignored it again.
Is the app still open or did it close? If it's still open, you should go through that same process you just went through for the last activity. Yeah, while it's there, just leave it there and go
Okay.
back and go to the activity. If you-
So just like before, you would want to go to that line that says window selector, where you can see that window level is editable, do the exact same thing. So it still has the calendar with the week on that one. And then validate.
He's just getting everything that's in the calendar, everything applies.
Mhm.
All dates, not just the date. It's not a hard-coded date, it's all dates.
And then you also want to look at the selector here to see what it's picking up, validate. So you can see kind of why that may not be the best selector. What it's doing is choosing CSS and the parent ID. So do you see Open and UI Explorer down on the left at the bottom? Just on this screen below validate, below the red button.
Okay.
there's blue. Yep.
Great, thanks.
Click that. So this is where you can see the different properties of those fields that are retrievable. It should pop open another window, another tool where you can see all of the options. So if you click the second item, indicate element, and then but have the other screen accessible where you can go right to it. it'll want you to click that right afterward. So click indicate element and then select the field that you want it to type into.
So needs to put the date there,
All right, so click that.
the start
And it-
date. So I,
yeah.
I wonder if, I guess I didn't catch if it was putting, it probably correctly put the start date there now, but it was probably putting the end date into the times.
So yeah, if you click the one that you want, then it'll give you all of the options for the selector. And usually you can find a better option. I mean, normally you would not want to identify it by all the CSS on the page. There are usually better choices. So if you click I believe it's Friday, April 1st, then we'll be able to see in the UI Explorer what all the options are for that field, and probably need to do the same for the time field. So did you click in that? All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you make this a little bit bigger, on the right, you see selected items. It chose those three things. There's probably something better that we can select looking through this list. So it's not going to normally be something like tab index. The title should be the window, I believe. If you could make that a little bit bigger or move to the right, we can see what the title, I think that's just going to be what we have, the calendar, that first line already. So it may be that this is all we need, the parent ID. I mean, you can normally look, you could see why CSS selector is not going to be a very good choice, which is what it chose before. It may be the ARIA label too that says start date.
Start date
Yeah,
is stable, yeah.
I would tend to choose something like that. So you normally play around with these a bit. And I normally try to minimize. I normally try to pick key fields that, that have appropriate labels, stuff like start date. And then take off the others, like tag equals input. It's usually not that helpful. It's on nearly all the fields. So you kind of toy with these and then you validate and see if that works. And it identifies that particular field, which is what this UI Explorer is really great for, is to play around. You want the fewest things here that will correctly identify the field. The more that you
Okay.
have there, the more that something could change about the website, and then it breaks this working in the future. So usually the key things like the name, start date, that type of thing, we'll find it, but you'll have to click a bit and then validate and see if it still picks it up.
Yeah. Could you click the highlight button now?
Yeah, so do you see the highlight button there up at the top? The
Yep.
next last
Yeah.
option. So
Yes,
And
there
now-
you go.
there you go. Now we know that it's correctly selecting that particular field.
Nice.
Yeah, that I didn't know. That was good information to go in there. And I never knew to go in and deselect stuff that it picked. I thought it was like, oh man, I'm not gonna deselect things. It's so smart. So
Right.
let it pick it.
Well, you don't, the more things that you have there that are unnecessary, the more things that could be changed in the future. So I've had occasions where a whole client website that was affiliated with a process, they did a whole new, user interface where it looked totally different. But because I had selected appropriate things behind the scenes, where it was just the minimal information that would, uniquely identify,
Yeah.
everything still worked fine the next day. So
Good to know.
when it comes to highlighting, you can always turn it off by clicking the same button again up at the top, if you want to. But now that you know that this will identify it correctly, and we can try with the parent ID too. You notice it put down at the bottom, it put index equals 2. So there's apparently a couple of fields that likely are affiliated with that start date. So I might try adding in the parent ID and see if it will not require that index, because sometimes that can change, and then validate and see if that works. So it does. Now you don't have index 2, meaning that there were 2 different choices for the one field. So now you have unique information. As long as it highlights to the correct field, that you can then paste over back into the properties for that selector. And it should now be able to identify that field correctly. And it is the same process for any fields that you're having trouble with, where it's clicking in the wrong place. Exact same series of things that you just did. You
Great to
kind
know.
of look
Thank you.
around, you know, you see ugly stuff that, you know, is hundreds of characters long, like the CSS selector, you know, obviously not, and it doesn't scream to you what that field is about, then I normally try to leave those things out.
Okay.
You normally don't have to use those. It's always great if, you know, you can read it and, you know, like start date and tell what the field's supposed to be. That's even better if it's a meaningful field that describes what it is. So down at the bottom of the UI Explorer, that last line, the web control line to the end, that's what you paste over back into the selector property that you had clicked on to begin with. We can just copy and paste that over.
I think if you hit save, it might bring that for you already. Have it on a Control C, but if
Yeah,
you open it,
you can try that too.
yeah, if you open through the,
There you go.
Yeah.
And it's already validated it for you here. So you press OK. And so that one problem down.
Wonderful.
And then
Thank
you know, similar
Yeah.
thing that you probably need to do for the date field. It may have the same type of
for
thing.
the end date, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you could start your automation. You could right click that activity and do a start from there. You know, if you ever, hey, I don't want to go through the whole thing again.
So will it pick up the dates though?
No, if you had click start from there, you was already in progress. So it had dates passed. It would have just picked up from wherever that it was in the progress of the test.
Okay.
See, all you thinking about is getting out of the office. That's the problem.
It's all in the past. I know there's none coming up in the future.
Yeah, okay.
All right. And then once we get this worked out, Mauricio will ask you to share your screen so we can answer your question about for each UI element.
Yeah, Tracy, before we get off, I think you shared your email the first day you guys shared the email. I didn't get it.
Yep, it's at 5:10 p.m. I can paste it down here also.
Okay, good deal. Thank you.
Hey,
Beautiful. Thank you so very much. That was awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Good job.
easy to schedule that next vacation.
Thanks
And
for letting
that
us go
was it.
through that with you.
that was a really good question because it's a key thing that, you know, that's often the issue whenever you're working with a UI that it's a good skill to have. It's all you need is that exact same series of steps that we just went through. And you look through those selector fields, exactly the same thing in the future whenever you have any trouble with it picking you know, exactly where it needs to type into or what needs to be handled. So
Very
there
good.
you
Thank
go.
you very much.
All right, Mauricio, if you want to
Yes,
share your screen as
hello.
well.
Sure, thank you so much. So let me bring all the information to this screen now. And I will share my screen on this one. Okay, this is kind of related, but I'm stuck in a specific web page. The goal on this, so I separate everything. My robot is working. So at this page, basically I need to gather the information of these fields on the list. I tried, but for somehow it's not working. Depending on the GPS position, the information that I need to get is the street name, component code for this list. And let me bring something because I tried to do something like this, but I was not sure if for each element, how can I get the information, or how can I set up the for each or the collection or this specific option. So depending on the specific GPS location, I will have some or more information. As an example, if I check this location, I will have the street address type. But if I go back to the other one, I will not have this one. So this is something that I will need to evaluate later. But because my main question is, I need to gather all the information from each of these fields or of this box, but I'm not sure how to do that.
And I think if you look at that as a table and try to extract that as a table, I think that would fly for that example. Mauricio.
Okay, I tried to make this as a table, but it was not working. Let's see, like this one. I tried to extract the data as a table.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to set up this or.
So, and before you get into the for each UI element, I would just make sure you had it working on one and then add
Okay.
it afterward. That's usually the way I would go about it, because adding the for each in there could just be a little bit more complicated. So would focus on the one.
Okay, you say so. Extract table data.
Well,
So after.
Do you see
Give
up
it
at
a
the top where it
try.
says table extraction? The
Sorry?
top. Do you
There is
see
a
in-
wizard, yeah. By the
Yeah.
app recorder, there is that wizard table extraction.
A recorder. Oh, yeah.
On the
This one.
ribbon. Yeah.
Yep, I get this one here. And I want to add data. How should I choose which data? Because these components will change always.
Do you have one that has
The address always there, right? Address and location, it's always there.
Yeah, always you have address, location, and type.
So start go on the first element and
Okay,
select the address,
okay. Address.
and then give yes. Let's see what it finds out. It doesn't give the names because probably the element on the application has no names. Usually it will give you the names on location types and whatever else it found.
Yeah.
But it was able to find, just looking on that block that is kind of purple, those 13, or if you scroll down, there's probably a little bit more elements as it goes. I think that go next button. I think it will show a preview on what I found. So if you go on the wizard on the next.
Next, okay.
And try to hit finish. Let's see if
Finish selection. So in this, when I
If-
go to the preview,
okay,
I
there
will
you go,
see
preview. Yeah.
this one.
Do you know the full list of potential fields that it can pull? Like, have you?
It is variable. Depending of the specific code, it will create one or many. At this time, you will have 9. On the other example, you may have 10, or you may have let's take a look on another field like this one. So, okay. On this, I have 14 results.
And that's fine. I think the biggest problem is that the fields themselves, the structure of the table changes, right? Depending on the type of location, it might have different properties.
That's
would,
correct.
I'd
Okay.
investigate the JSON or XML link.
That's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. I think it would be
Yeah.
better to go to the JSON. Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I just noticed that he could click maybe one of those and then use that.
No,
Mhm.
I cannot because the IPA for this is not available.
You know,
For
how
both?
the
both the
API
JSON
key.
and the XML.
Yeah.
Because it's Google. Seem like let's see.
One of the things that I've been looking is try to get all the information from this blog and then start looking inside the blog. But I try to do this with each element. The main important is a street number. This is the component that I'm looking for that.
So I would think that I'd go about this by identifying all of the potential fields to gather the information for, and just because of the way that it's set up, that there's not clear, you don't know which fields are going to be there. I would probably try to get a selector for each one of the individual fields with the name. So street number, and gather this. It'll start to look for that consistent name like street number. And then we can make it where it looks for it, and if it doesn't find it, it times out and moves to the next thing, that type of thing. But I might just approach it one by one, get the full list of all of the, say it's 15 data points on one of them. It doesn't have to be all on the same one. You can look at all of those across all of them, and then afterward attempt to repeat that through the list.
So this box here, this is not one of those where you can copy all this data manually. You can't hit the Control C and everything highlight, right?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that based on the way that it's picking it up, I don't know that I would still go with the table extract. Well, I would probably try to pull fields one by one. So get the address, get the location. So I would probably attempt that.
How can I do that?
So you would go back, you would cancel this, and then you would go back and try to grab information from the UI. Let's see.
Okay, which activity should I use in this case?
I'm looking for our various choices here. Probably a get text. And then make sure we've got these named for the individual elements. So just get them individually for the full number of fields. And so drag that over. You can just delete out the table.
This here.
And then, yep, and then do that get text activity for each. And so first for just the address, or for the whole list, whatever it is that you're going to grab. If you don't need the address, you don't have to grab it for sure.
Actually,
the data you want to gather is the value next to the address. We'll use the address as the anchor, but you'll want to grab that.
Oh, sorry.
secondary part. Mm-hmm.
So again, indicate on this one, I need to grab this one.
And it'll search for that address being to the left of the data element.
Perfect.
And then repeat that for all of your fields. You can make it where it moves forward without an error for the ones that are optional, where it's not going to error out or anything. It'll just be an empty string.
Okay, so at this point, we will have always address, location, and types.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, even if it's not always there, you
sorry.
can make it, move forward without erroring out. So it'll attempt, but it's just not going to retrieve anything for the others. So having a blank there, I assume, is not a big deal.
let's say types and select value to be. Perfect. And the last one, let's say this street route. Oops, sorry. And let's take one of these, indicate in Google. I want to take this one, and it will be attached to the route and confirm. Yeah, displayed. Oh.
And then I
let's
would make
see,
sure to name your variable stuff that, you know, would be obvious, like route or, you know, street number, things that
Yeah.
would be easy to troubleshoot. You can do that later on. But would repeat, I mean, that essentially repeat it for all of the possible elements. It doesn't have to be that you're pulling it from that exact same one. We would look at the selectors afterward to make sure there's not anything that, you know, particularly ties it to one section or the other.
Yeah. So at this point, I will like a variable A, B, and C. In that way, no.
Well,
This variable.
so
Oh,
So you would have
Yes,
all the
yes.
individual variables there.
Yeah.
And then we'll need to look with the UI Explorer that we were just using last time at what the difference is in the selector from one section to the next. It could be something very easy like index is 1, index is 2, index is 3, something like that. I would want to see how the selector looks different when you click on each section for the overall, but you have to dig in and look at it a little bit to see what the difference is.
I know, perfect. This is what I'm looking for.
Hey, so you have that for one, you just want to get it to work on the rest. So you would go through the other pieces for,
No,
you know, whatever the maximum number of fields are, but you know, just what we did.
Yeah, perfect. No, this will work for me with this way, because I will need to gather these on type street. So yeah, perfect. This will work.
There you go.
Let me share my screen and let me show you.
Thank you so
That
much
same
for
idea.
this.
That same idea. So on the table extraction, I just went through it as you sent the link, and it would also work if you break it down by the mega, the kind of the big piece that you need. So let me just preview here for you to see. So instead of going on line by line, UiPath can figure out that table has some repeatable patterns, as long as you figure out, because those components, they change, right? Depending on the type of address, they might change. So as long as you capture those as a single piece of that table, that would also work. So as you were going that earlier, and I can kind of start that back, and you open, you could say, hey, add data. Let me select just that whole addressing that will be unique. Let me say no, and let me say, hey, this is the address piece, and I finish that piece. Now let me add the next one, the location, the whole location field that will be unique, and I can see the location. And I think your challenge is that the components change, but if the screen has an option to get the whole thing like this, then it will do the trick. Components, let me finish, and if I look now what is extracting, it kind of gets the whole thing as well. So this kind of table, that might be the format on one of the elements is different, right? You can see the different types render differently. You can also capture like that, as long as you group things a little bit differently. That's why you can say, hey, just discover everything for me, because it doesn't have a pattern to discover, and that's why that activity was failing when you're trying. But if you do it manually and kind of tell it, hey, this is a pattern, this is the second one, this is the third one, and so forth, that might be a way of looking at that as well, just to give you some options. And usually that's how you look at. That is not a single way of doing things. You can kind of look at some of those options and figure out the one that works for your use case.
Perfect. They will work. And how can I send this on a data or a data structure where I can go row by row and analyze that? How can I get this variable on that?
I'll probably save that into like an Excel file. Is that the idea? Yeah, so you can extract you'd have to create an Excel file and link it back here with
Oh,
what
okay.
you
Perfect.
want. And then you dump that to Excel. Each row will be a column. So it kind of
Perfect.
makes it a little bit easier.
And this variable needs to be a specific variable type, or it doesn't matter?
I'll probably
Okay.
create an Excel file just for that output, and then you ask your automation to use that Excel file so that it will be available here. Right now, I just have the notebook, but if you had created a report file that you're gonna use,
Okay.
no matter, and with both methods, right? The one that Tracy showed you works as well. You just
Perfect.
choose the way you want to output that.
Okay. Perfect.
then,
I appreciate it.
With that table extraction, after that, you would go for each row in data table. And you would be able to parse out that last column that had several different fields in it. You could pick the piece out, something along the lines of if this particular string is there. So,
Yeah.
if that exists, then you could extract the different elements that were there. Just have separate formulas for the different pieces.
Perfect.
you-
So, question.
You can even add a column to the table with that name, and then fill the columns with the data that you pull out.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. That was a good example of that activity, the table extract and the other solution that two solutions. So
Yeah,
that,
there's more than two for sure. There's
Well-
so many
well,
different.
yeah,
ways to do the same
yeah.
thing.
yeah, I might have came up with something weird myself, because, just using when you don't have all the knowledge, you're using what you have. And
Mhm.
that's why I was like, man, if you, and I do know that if you can manually do something, something with your hands, you can automate it. That's why I asked him, was that field something that you, once it refresh, can you control and see and copy everything that I did not know if you could? Because if you could, then you could have used the hotkeys activity or something like that. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Tons of different ways to do the same thing. And you'll notice stay at this, and over the next few months, you'll go back and look at what you did now, and you'll have a totally different style. You'll look and go, why in the world did I do it this way? But the most important thing is that you get it functional and working, but your knowledge will greatly increase. I look at my own stuff a few months ago and go like, what was I doing here? And have a better way. So your knowledge builds upon itself.
Yeah, okay, well, I do appreciate the session. I'm trying to study for certification, debating if I'm gonna even do the associates first or just stick with it until I have confidence to try to develop it. If I keep going, it take me some more experience. But, it saved me money because I had to take the test twice if I do associate and then do the other one. So we'll try to do the tougher one. How about that? You hear that? All wood.
Good for you.
Okay. I appreciate you.
Thanks. Any more questions?
Yes, hello. Sorry for joining super late.
No
Marlon,
Out
problem.
of work. Hey, Tracy. Listen, where can I find these recordings? I noticed we've been recording these meetings.
Yeah, let me put my information in the chat. This is Diana, and if you guys email me, I can send the recordings out to you.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you so much.
Actually, Tracy, for some reason, my keyboard is not working. Would you mind
Yeah.
putting my URL or my email in the chat?
All right,
Thanks.
thank you.
there you go. And
All
Marlon, you
right,
can
I see.
follow up with me if I can always reach Diana.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Other questions? All right, I believe you guys have to finish everything this week to get your certificate related to this class. If you happen to go over that time, you can still go to the learning, to the academy and always do any course you want anytime. So there's tons more besides the little bit that we've gone through today. And you don't have to necessarily do something that's out on the academy for your next effort. You could maybe do a little something on your own that's important to you. So don't feel limited to just the activities here. But we're
Certificate that you-
still here to help.
This is a certificate for attending this class.
I believe so,
Right.
yes.
Right, because, because you know, I'm going through the academy and I'm getting those certificates, so I'm just wondering, it's different, okay? Then the Pearson got the real certificate. It's the one I want, Pearson View.
Do we need to upload any project or something to complete, or just complete the activities on the page?
I'm not sure about that. Diana, do you know if this is like the typical academy course where they just go through those sessions, or if they need to upload anything in particular?
I don't know.
Does anything on the notes?
Not prompted to when I completed that survey.
Yeah, I don't think you have to
Okay,
upload anything. I think you just need to complete.
okay, perfect.
Other questions?
From me, thank you.
Great. Well, I want to thank Carlos and Tracy for leading the session tonight and for all of you for attending. And please, if you have any additional questions or want to reach out, please do.
All right,
And-
thank
And
Very
we want
valuable.
everybody
Thank
to
you very
finish.
much.
So,
Yeah,
so
thank
please make
you.
sure that you reach out to us if you get stuck at all. We don't want anybody, unable to move forward. So we're here for you.
appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.